Please be seated. So just a few words on behalf of the center. Very warm welcome to you, Geshe. Welcome back for, I don't know, is it the 5th year in a row or something like that?
At least, no, it's my 4th time.
4th time, okay, yeah.
I was first in 2009 and 12, and then 14.
Okay, yeah. So Geshe has been, we've been fortunate to have Geshe here for these 4 times, and we're very happy that you came back, Geshe. So for those of you who don't know Geshe, he's been in the Buddhist tradition for many years, since he was a kid, I believe, or very young at least. Yeah. So he's been ordained in Nepal. He's been spending a lot of time in Bhutan Monastery, living there, and also teaching, and even been a headmaster there. And has also graduated the Geshe degree, which is considered to be the highest degree within the Tibetan monastic tradition. So we have a very knowledgeable man here in Buddhism, and he's also been teaching for a number of years in many different countries in the West, and currently spending a lot of time in the US and New Mexico, right?
Yeah.
And also touring around the world to give teachings. So very much welcome, Geshe. Thank you for teaching here.
So, good evening, everyone. And again, it's my great pleasure and very happy to be here. Even in a short time, but for the fourth time. So I would like to start. As usual, I like to start with a short mindfulness breathing exercise to settle down our mind, to bring our mind to the moment, and then trying to generate good motivation, intentions for being here, for our time together, so that our time here becomes maximum beneficial, helpful. And then we'll start the discussion of today's talk. Okay. Again, make yourself comfortable, relaxed. And try to feel the weight of your body on cushions and the environment around yourself. And try to place your attention to the breath as you breathe in and out naturally from the body. And we can generate good intention by contemplating everything that we do. Then the time here is most beneficial and healthy. In understanding the nature of our life better. And it will cause the conditions for us to reduce and overcome those unhealthy, distracting, disturbing thoughts, emotions, feelings. And to be able to cultivate and fully develop those healthy, positive, constructive thoughts, feelings, emotions. And it will cause conditions for us to actualize our full potential, the fully awakened state, fully enlightened state, as soon as possible. Then our thoughts, words, and actions always be most helpful, beneficial to others all the time. And may they never be false conditions for harm and suffering to oneself and to others. So, So, as you know, we'll be discussing on Four Noble Truths, and I'm sure many of you have heard many times, but the teachings are always good to hear again and again uh, to remind us about the same uh, those principles, battles which we wanted to know, but sometimes we know but we forget. And so it's always good to remind and always good to go to the very basic all the time. And the teaching on Four Noble Truths, as we know, is the first teaching the Buddha gave after his enlightenment. And it is the very basic foundations uh, and the framework for the whole different Buddhist traditions, be it Theravada traditions, be it Tibetan Buddhist traditions, be it Zen traditions, uh, all all the all the different Buddhist traditions, all of them are based on this foundation for the Four Noble Truths. The most crucial basic foundations. Hmm? So the Four Noble Truths are the Noble Truth of we use suffering, but sometimes it is little bit kind of the word is little bit maybe not the best choices of the word, but at the same time, I guess there is no one particular English word which convey that message in all. Dukkha, and then second one, the Four Noble Truth of originations. Third one, the Four Noble Truth of cessation. Fourth one, the Four Noble Truth of path. So with the first two Noble Truths, it explains how we are caught up in this cycle of samsara, and how due to that being caught up in the cycle of samsara, why we experience problems and sufferings, difficulties that we experience in our life, how, why we experience those different experiences, that unpleasant experiences, which we do not wish to experience. So it explained that that cycle, and the third and fourth, cessation and path, it explained how to free ourselves from the dark cycle of being caught up in the samsara and cycling endlessly, or how to stop the continuity of the suffering, the problem, the pain, the problems, difficulties that we encounter in our life. So, so way to free ourselves from that state. So that is so then coming to the first noble truth, the noble truth of dukkha. Yeah, different. Sometimes some of the teachers have translated instead of suffering, when they translated. I think they translate sometimes dissatisfactions. That is another way of translating. Again, I think both of them doesn't cover the whole thing, but I think together maybe they might give a better picture of that subject. And again, it is explained the the way of understanding that is another way of understanding. They give an example of someone who is sick. So someone might not be feeling well, or someone has some kind of sickness. But sometimes we are aware of that sickness, sometimes we are not aware of that sickness. Sometimes it's manifesting in such a way the symptom up there, the strong symptoms, which we are able to recognize it, see the pain, suffering, the sickness. But sometimes it does not manifest in a such way that even the sickness is there. A lot of times the symptom is not there, or the symptom is not so obvious. A lot of times we are not aware of that. We think we are healthy, fine, but actually we are not healthy and fine. Something's wrong, but because the symptoms are not so obvious, and so sometimes we are not aware of that. So that explains the first part of the recognizing that sickness, or that reality, or that fact that we are, whether the symptoms are there or not, but there is something wrong there. And the second part is recognizing the cause and conditions which lead to that state. Why we are not healthy anymore. What is the cause and conditions that brought us to that state? And so that we might find out, if we find out what is the main cause and condition for that state, then we try to see whether it is cured or not, whether it can be fixed. And then the third one is analyzing whether there is a cure for that sickness or not, or to overcome that cause and condition which lead to that unhealthy state, that sickness, whether that can be treated, whether it can be treated, whether it can be cured, whether it can be healed, and knowing that it can be cured, it can be treated, it can be healed, that there is an end to that problem, into that pain, suffering, cessations. Having that understanding, even though we have problem and we have recognized the cause of problem, and also understood that there is an end to that problems. There's a cessation, there's a cure. And the fourth part is, if there is, it can be stopped, if there is cessation, if it can be cured, what are the means, things to lead to that state of being totally cured, totally healed, totally stopped? And that is the path, the fourth one. The method which lead to that end of that problems. So when we look from that example, that is how kind of example. If you don't recognize that you have this problem, you wouldn't look for the next stage. What is the cause of that problem? First, we have to recognize and acknowledge that we do have a problem, for example, if we have a problem. If we then we don't try to find. And if we don't try to find, acknowledge and understand we have a problem, and that we need to kind of fix it, then you wouldn't try to find a way to fix it. Why would you try to find a way to fix it if you don't see any problem? And if you don't find a way to fix it, of course, it's not going to fix. So that is why the Buddha explained truth of dukkha at the first. So when he explained that, he's explaining that this samsaric life is full of suffering, pain, difficulties. Sometimes we don't want to hear that, even. We would like to hear that everything is okay, fine, there's no problem. Of course, definitely that would be the wonderful if it is the reality. But the fact in reality is there is a lot of suffering, um, pain in our life, up and down. No matter how we try very hard, we still experience some sort of sickness in our life. Some people are much more worse, chronic. Some people have less serious. But we do have health issues. Everyone has health issues. There's anyone in this whole world who does not have any health issue. Of course, some have more health issues than others. Some of them have more serious than others. But we all have some health issues, which is undesirable, unpleasant. Then, if we live enough, we have this aging. Again, whether we want to think about it, whether we want to acknowledge or not acknowledge, but that is the fact of reality that there will be that aging. With that aging, there is a decline of strength in our body, strength in some cases on mental level, emotional level as well. Again, the aging is part of our life. Even though we don't want to get old, be in that state where we are not as strong, healthy as we used to be. But if we live enough, that is the fact, part of the life which we have to accept at the moment. That, and then at the end, whether we want to talk about it or not, whether we want to think about it or not, but there is into our life, the death. Again, there is another fact, reality which we cannot escape. So these all are part of the package with this rebirth, this samsaric rebirth, samsaric life. It comes with a package. Unfortunately, we wish that we can take some of those parts from the package. But at the moment, as long as we are in this samsaric rebirth, that is part of that form being the package. And then, of course, on top of that, there are so many others problems in our relationship. Again, I don't think there is any family in the world who doesn't have any relationship issues. Some have worse and some have less. Some have issue with their children, some of them have issue with their parents, some of them have issue with their friends, but we all have some level of issues problem with our relationships and so forth. Again, that's the other impact in our life. Mm. We have issues with not being able to the suffering, the pain of not being able to, of course, because of all this, there is some level of pain, some level of suffering due to the health issue, due to the aging, due to the death, everything. Of course, there is unpleasant, some painful experience related with that. Then in our relationship, of course, definitely some level of that, the pain, suffering that we experience due to that. And then not being able to get everything that we want in our life. Again, there is no one in this world who is able to get everything that they want, fulfill every their wishes. Unable to fulfill that. Some of us are able to, some of the people are able to have more success in accomplishing what they want. Others are uh, less success in that. But everyone go through some kind of not being able to fulfill everything they wish. Everything they wish. And so of course there is again because of that, there is pain, suffering, disappointment, frustration, in some cases that disappointment, frustration leading to anger, hatred, and so forth. So all that comes again through that pain of not being able to fulfill or accomplish that you want. Then there is pain of encountering things which we don't want, situations, things that we don't want to encounter. But we keep on encountering those situations, things. So, pain of not being able to have everything we want and facing an encounter which we don't want. Again, those are that is kind of a life story, part of life. And it is not story of one person's, one individual. It's a story of everyone's on some side, sentient beings. We all have that. Of course, level can be different. Some have more than others in some of that. But that is the way it is. And then, of course, the fear, that we go through in our life, feeling of insecurity, worry, anxiety, fear, that is huge, strong part of our life. some extent, we are always in a state of that fear. Sometimes it's on conscious level, which you are aware. Sometimes it's on subconscious level, which you are not aware, but you are constantly in that fear. If we are not fear about this thing, we are fear about the second thing. If we are not fear about the second thing, we are fear about the third thing. If we are not fear about that fourth thing, there is some worry and fear of something all the time. It's interesting because there is fear of not achieving or not accomplishing or not having what you want to have. And then even you are able to accomplish, achieve, and have what you want. Next is then again it turns into different fear, not being able to maintain it, the fear of losing it. First, there is fear of not getting it. Second, once you get it, the fear of losing it. Constant. And then, of course, if we do lose it, then of course, then it is even more painful, even more devastating, even more intense suffering and pain. So if we look from that perspective, then our life is full of suffering and pain. And even though there is some level of joy, happiness, present in our life, because we are not constantly 24 hours in those states all the time. There are times when we have good time, enjoying the meals, being in a nice weather, having vacations, when we have a better relationship, so forth. Buddha is saying even those states are not there are samsaric pleasure and samsaric happiness, but not lasting, stable, true happiness and pleasantness. It is a big statement. Those states are very momentary. Very momentary. Unreliable, unstable. All this, whatever joy, happiness that we experience in those states are very much rely on some external objects. When there is a change in the external objects, your experience changes. The external objects cannot remain permanently same thing. It's going to change. It's impermanent condition things. Because of that, it's going to change. When it changes, your experience in relation to that object changes. Then you turn from joy, happiness to suffering, pain. In relationship, first we have joy, happiness because we have very good relationship And when that changes, that can't remain same thing for forever. When there's a little bit of change from that, then you will have different experience. Instead of joy, happiness, now it's more painful, suffering, and so on. And same thing. Every happiness, joy that we can think of in this life, which depend on external objects, things like that. And those external objects are not the source of true happiness. Those cannot give you lasting happiness. Those external objects. Suppose even they can give you some kind of pleasure and joy at the very beginning. That's only for temporary time being. So if you want to have more stable, lasting true happiness, then we can recognize and acknowledge this part that our life is full of suffering and pain. And even though there are some samsaric pleasure in that, but there are also not really true, reliable happiness and joy. Once we understand that, then our next step will be kind of, then is there a really lasting happiness? Is there a true state of happiness? That question comes. If you don't recognize both technology, you wouldn't even ask that question. You wouldn't ask that question. You wouldn't try to find out whether there is true happiness, stable, reliable happiness. So to even come to that kind of, investigation, analyzing, even try to just kind of cautioning even that path. Coming to that, first you have to recognize that is path. The first noble truth. And a lot of the time in this world, a lot of people doesn't understand that, or they don't understand. So therefore, they never try to look beyond that. Even though they have all these problems that I just described, but they think their life is okay, no problem. It's like that. I was saying about sickness. When there is a manifesting, when you have started to have a strong side effect, strong headache, strong throwing, and pain here and there, you notice that there is no But when you don't have that side effect, when you think you are very healthy and well, because you don't feel that pain, obviously. But when actually things, something is not good inside. So that is why we don't try to fix it unless it is that painful. Do you get it? Until you start to have a headache, then you start thinking of doctor, going to see doctor and with the medication. Until then you feel you are fine and you don't really take care of yourself. And that is exactly what happened on that level also. When we don't have those office problems, when our relations is good at the moment, your health is good at the moment, things seems going quite fine in your life, and we think everything's fine. I don't need to practice the Dharma. I don't need to take care of my mind. I don't need to do that. Everything seems okay, fine. Until one day, something happens unexpectedly. Because it is there. It is not manifesting. When the cause and condition come, it manifests. From Buddhist point of view, the very reason why we have to go through all this is because this birth itself is samsara rebirth, which is the result of our karma and delusions. So that's it. Until we are able to stop the samsara rebirth, which is kind of driven by the delusion and karma, we continue to go through the same cycle again and again. The way to stop is to stop the samsara rebirth. And the way to stop samsara rebirth is to stop the main cause conditions which give to that samsara rebirth, the delusion karma. So the next noble truth, the truth of origin, is explanation that why do we have to go through all this? None of us wish to experience any slightest suffering, pain, problems, and we wish, desire all the happiness, goodness, excellence, prosperity, and we try very hard. Despite that, the fact reality is that doesn't happen all the time in our life. So why, from Buddhist point of view, so what is the main cause and conditions which lead us to a state where we have to experience such unpleasant experiences, suffering, pain, problems, difficulties? And Buddha explained it is due to our karma actions and due to our own distracted, disturbing, unhealthy thoughts, feelings, emotions, That's what we call delusions or affected emotion, whatever you call it. Due to that. We are talking about, for example, we were talking about all this feeling of insecurity, fear, worry, anxiety, which take a lot of time, lot consume um, great amount of time in our life. Most of them they're unnecessary worry. We worried about things which a lot of things which are never going to happen, but our mind just keep on worrying that it might happen. And make our life much more miserable, basically. Because when you are in that state of worry and anxiety and fear, of course, we can't relax, we can't feel peace. If we look deeper, what is the main cause of that fear? It is our strong desire, our strong attachment. Check it out. If you have something, feeling insecure about something, fear about something, why do you have that fear? So whether you might have, whether you can get it or not, or whether you can, or the fear of losing it, is your attachment, clinging, grasping to that object, that thing. If you don't have any strong grasping, any strong attachment, desire, you have less fear of losing it. You have less fear of not getting it, even if you want something. Your mind is much more relaxed. If I get it, it's great. If I don't get it, it's fine. It doesn't mean you don't put effort to make it happen. You still put effort, but you are not so desperate, kind of like desperate. So when you are not in that kind of feeling of that desperation, that you really need to have that, constant that, then when you have that, then your mind becomes much more tighter, and much more tight, much more unrelaxed, mentally, physically. An object, let's say, this cup, the more attachment if I have to this cup, there will be a lot of fears of breaking it, losing it, someone stealing it, all kind of things. Less attachment to it, less fear of being broken, less fear of being stolen. And if you somehow break it, someone stole it, it doesn't bring me so much pain. I can easily let it go. It will be much easier for me to let it go. But if I'm so attached to it, it will be very hard for me to let it go. It will be very hard for me to let it go. And so this, when I'm not unable to let it go, the more I hold, the more painful it is for me, the more suffering it is. I cannot overcome that thought of someone has stolen it. And feeling of loose of that, kind of losing that, and all other negative emotion, thoughts which comes and involved with that. Same things in everything, when things breaks, everything's in every situations, when things started to kind of break here and there, everything's less attachment, less grasping, less clinging, you know, less pain. Because of all, as I said before, you have less fear of that, of kind of breaking everything. It doesn't mean that if you don't have fear that you become kind of what you call careless and not paying any attention or like that. It doesn't mean that. You still try to be careful, try to think, make sure that it doesn't break down everything, but with less fear. And normally we are able to do if there's less fear. When there's more fear, we become more nervous. Out of that nervous and fear, our action become a little bit more unskillful. When you have less fear, you are more relaxed. When you are more relaxed, you are able to function better. You make less mistakes. Because of our clinging and attachment, when we desperately want to make things happen, that's when we make more mistakes. But when we do same things, trying to make things happen, or doesn't break down, or trying to reconcile or do something, but without such a feeling of so desperate, driven by that kind of strong attachment, thinking, and so forth, you are able to do the things what you want to do better. Check it out, everything. You check with your own experience, how we perform ourselves. For example, a lot of things, when someone is performing something in front of many people or whatever that is, sometimes people get a bit nervous, out of fear and nervous, and then sometimes they become blank. They blank out, and they cannot kind of perform well. And if you check it, why you want to perform kind of that, when we have more attachment clinging, I want to perform so well. I don't want the replications, not want to make it look bad or perform bad, and whatever that goes. We have a strong attachment clinging to how we look, how we want to look, how people might perceive us. So the more you have, the more fear there is of that, because of that clinging. The more fear of making a mistake, not being able to perform it perfectly, whatever. And when that comes in, then you start to become more nervous. That fear And when you're not nervous, when you are more nervous, that is when you are going to make more mistakes. So there you see the attachment make our lives much more painful, create much more suffering, much more pain in our life. Um, and of course, anger. And out of attachment, many others negative emotion arises. Jealousy, for example, arises. Greediness arises. Mindedness arises. Out of those negative emotions, then we act in an unskillful way, not in a beneficial way. That brings more problems, more pain to oneself or others. So you can see that. And anger, we all know how painful it is. The anger, it destroys. Of course, when you are in a state of anger, absolutely there's no peace at all. Whether you think whether anger is necessary or unnecessary, whether it is beneficial or unbeneficial, this is totally different um, subject. It's something to be kind of discussed. A discussion whether whether there is any goodness in anger, not whether there is. But our own personal feelings, experience is when you are in that state of strong anger, you feel good about it, you feel peace, relax, joy, or do you feel unsettled, agitated, pain? It's our experience shows that when you are in that state, absolutely your mind is not peace at all. Your mind is not relaxed at all. Absolutely at that moment when you are in that state of anger. The more stronger anger, the more unsettled, the stronger your state of being unsettled, the stronger the agitation, the stronger your stability of your mind, the peace of your mind is destroyed. If it is a much more weak or subtle level of anger, still that has the same effect, consequences on subtle level, on more subtle level. Your mind is still unsettled, but maybe in more subtle level. Your mind is not peace, calm, relaxed, more unsettled, on more subtle level. But that is the function of that anger. And a lot of time people we destroy our life under the influence of those angers. All families, a lot of things, you destroy everything because you've lost your mind. You couldn't control your mind, your anger at that point. And out of that anger, we make some of the most stupid, worst mistake that we make. Say things which we normally even think of saying such things. act in such a way that normally we wouldn't even think of. Imagine that you couldn't do that. But people do that when they are in that state. So immediately the peace comes gone, and they create such a unpleasant, unhelpful um, environment around themselves when you are in that state. Depending on the level of their anger, it can be so scary, so scary. And once we can't control that, and when we kind of allow ourselves in that, sometimes it's hard for people to get a trust with yourself anymore. Even though you have even though you have done one time, even though you have acted in such a way one time out of that anger, once someone has seen that side, it's very hard for them to not to get scared. Do you get it? The fear that he or she might again any time can express and become like that, like crazy like that. It's hard for people to fully kind of have that trust. So by out of that anger, we're creating cause conditions for people to have less trust in ourselves, to have more fear in ourselves, thereby distancing themselves them from ourselves, therefore creating cause and condition to be less friends, less people, to be more feeling or more lonely, and creating more cause and conditions for our own more pain, more suffering in our life. And all this, and of course, out of anger and other negative emotions, resentment, grudges, all these other negative emotions um, arises. Again, same thing. When we have such as hatred, resentment, grudges, because of those anger, it is not. It is not a good feeling. It's a bit and make our life much more miserable, much more miserable, much more painful. And those anger and attachment arises because of the ignorance. When the root of those other delusions is based in the ignorance, the fundamental ignorance of misapprehending the reality. And due to ignorance, our self-cherishing feeling I am more important than others increases. Due to the ignorance, of course, attachment push all other layers of delusion. Pride arises. Due to pride, the feeling of arrogance arises. Due to feeling of arrogance, you started to treat others badly in a more unkind way. Again, by doing that, again, you are creating false conditions from people being respectful for you and kind and compassionate to you, caring and loving to you. Thereby, you are creating your own causing conditions to be in that situation. So again, we create our own pain, suffering because of that. We also, the way we act in that arrogance, which is driven by our pride, which is driven by the ignorance. So driven by those negative emotions, those distractive negative emotions, when we are kind of driven by those negative intentions, our actions are always unhealthy, unskillful, unwholesome. And when your action is unhealthy, unskillful, unwholesome, the result is unpleasant. The result is unpleasant experience. The unpleasant experiences. More pain, more suffering, more problems, more difficulties. So, from this point of view, our own mind and our own actions is the creator of our own experiences. There is no one outside, external creator, God, we don't accept, or Buddha, or some other energies, forces out there, who is creating our pleasant, unpleasant experiences, happiness, suffering. We ourselves are responsible for our own experience, pleasant, unpleasant experience. Our own actions and our own state of mind are responsible for our pleasant and unpleasant experiences. Fundamental cosmic conditions. Even though there can be some external factors outside which can contribute to that pleasant and unpleasant situation, but that is more secondary causing conditions. The primary fundamental causing conditions is our own actions and our own state of mind. So therefore, the cause of the truth of the suffering is the truth of origin, the cause. And so the cause is our own actions, the karma, and our own unsubdued, untrained, undisciplined minds, the active emotions, those destructive emotions, which I give some examples. So then third is we recognize the problems and we recognize the cause of the problems. And now is Is there a way out of it? Is there a way out of it? If there is no way out of it, forget about thinking these two things. Better not to think about these two things. Do you get it? Why think about something unpleasant, painful, suffering, and so on, if there is nothing can be done? Better not to think about it. But if there is something can be done, can be fixed, it's better to think about it. Because if you think about it, then you begin to, because there is something can be done, and if you do that, it can be fixed. So it makes much more sense. Think about it, contemplate about it. So I would say if it wasn't for the third and fourth, better not to think about the first two. It's just depressing to say. But because there is third and the fourth, it's not depressing. You recognize the problem, you acknowledge the problem, and you know it can be fixed. And so now, and then concentrating on that in that direction. Then. So from Buddhist point of view, the third one, cessation, there is an end to this suffering state because there is end to the cause and condition which lead to that. The cause and condition, the delusions and karma can be changed, transformed, or overcome. If you can overcome, transform, and change the cause and condition which to that state can be stopped. If you have some kind of tumor which is making you kind of have all this headache, losing your hair, vomiting, pain, whatever that is, if you take away that tumor completely, which is causing that, then you don't have those side effects of that anymore, the result of that, consequences of that. Same way, if the delusions and karma can be taken away, overcome, then you don't have that consequences, which is the samsaric state or samsaric rebirth. And so, from Buddhist point of view, it's absolutely possible. There's into that state because there is in the cause and condition can the origin can be overcome. And your unskillful, unhealthy can and your karma can be overcome because the delusion which is driving us to act in an unskillful, unhealthy, unwholesome way. So if we can overcome the delusions, we can overcome the actions which is motivated or driven by the delusions. And all this delusion can be overcome from Buddhist point of view on one level because the ultimate nature of our mind is not even existence, but it is depending arising, depending on many cause conditions. Since it's not independent and inherent existence, but is dependent arising, depending on many cause and conditions, if you change those causing conditions, that state will change. So therefore, that is what makes it possible for the transformation, for the changes. Being in being that nature, in that reality. That allow that it's possible. First of all, if it is trying to independent, doesn't depend on any causing conditions, it's independent, then that is the way it is, and it will remain the same way that way, and there cannot be change, transformation. But since it's not that allows for the transformation, for the changes, to overcome the delusions. And on another level, our basic fundamental nature of the mind is pure, luminous, and awareness, impure, not polluted by those delusions in its nature. Even though those delusions are very strong, it seems almost kind of part of our mind, a part of our whole being itself. Since without those delusions, we cannot function to some extent, even though it feels that those delusions are so much part of our life, in our existence. All the time, it feels like that, but the delusions themselves are like the clouds. The fundamental nature of the mind is like pure blue sky. Even though it is clouded now, the cloud is just temporary due to many causal conditions. The cloud is not, even though it is obscuring now, it is not obscuring in the nature of the blue sky itself. It's not polluted in the nature of the blue sky itself. So therefore, when the right causal condition comes, those clouds can be clear. And then you begin to see the true nature of the blue sky, pure blue, unpolluted, undiluted, unobscured. So therefore, that is what makes possible. Those delusions are temporary, not, even though they are polluting our mind at the moment, they are not polluting its nature. It's like the blue sky and the clouds. So then I think that's why it is possible. And then it is possible because on the basis of those foundations, just as there are delusions, there are other positive states of mind, opposing forces, the antidotes. If there's anger, there's love. These two states of mind are opposing, contradictory forces. So if you can develop this force more, the love and compassion more, the force of anger and hatred decreases, become more weak and weak. These two forces cannot remain same way without affecting each other. For example, I cannot have true love and compassion for someone at the same time anger and hatred for that someone at the same time. That moment. So therefore, when you have one of those, then you diminish the other's forces. So just as there is equal number of delusions, there is that much equal number of antidotes. The positive state of mind, which oppose each of those delusions, affected emotions. And So therefore, again, that is why it is possible. If there is no opposing forces antidote, then again, it might not be possible. But since not only they are athletic emotion delusion, but they are equally that much number of positive state of mind, positive forces. That is what it meant possible. And again, with our own experiences, it's clear when certain causal condition arises, delusion arises. When certain causal condition doesn't come together, delusion doesn't arise. So if we can change that, again, we can reduce those negative emotions. And also we know the positive state of mind. If someone really practice, they can be developed. They can be developed. It is just not kind of just a theory. Already we have a little bit of small of all these qualities. We have some level of wisdom, we have some level of love, compassion, we have some level of tolerance, we have some level of generosity, morality. Maybe all of them are not perfect at the moment, not as pure, not fully developed, but we do have all these qualities to some level. Everyone has some level. And so if we build up those, if we take care of them well, if we build up, nourish them, then those can be developed fully. And with that, as those qualities, the inner quality of those mind increases, become more stronger and stronger. It diminishes those negative forces of delusion and negative emotion. So that is why it is possible. And then it is possible, the cessations, it's possible to overcome the delusions and karma, and then the result of that is possible because all these delusions are very much rooted on the ignorance. And that ignorance is rooted on false, not in the truth. Whereas the wisdom, understanding the reality, which opposes that ignorance, which contradicts that ignorance, is much more stable. It has much more stable foundations. It's based on foundation of truth, the reality. So when there is two forces fighting each other, in long term, the one which has the foundation of truth as a basis, as a foundation, is going to overwhelm that the other forces which is based on false, not truth. So therefore, that's why again, through the correct, cultivating the correct understanding of the reality, that through that wisdom, we can overcome the ignorance. By overcoming the ignorance, we can overcome the rest of the delusions. By overcoming the delusion, we can overcome all the actions which are driven by those delusions. And by overcoming that, the suffering state, the samsaric state, can be overcome. So therefore, so that is the third, the cessation, no cessation. Not only there is problems and cause of problem, but there is cure. There is solutions to the problems. There is solutions. So how can we fix? Now we understand there is solution. It can be cured. It can be healed, solved. The problem can be solved. How can we solve it? How can we fix it? we can fix it by following the Eighth Noble Path, the truth of the path, noble truth of the path, the fourth one, that engage in that practices. The right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentrations, Eighth Noble Path. The Eighth Noble Fourth of the Path. And if you condense it, it can be condensed into pretty high training. The training of morality, the training of concentration, and training of the wisdom. That goes to the right view and the right thought is condensed into the training of the wisdom, the right speech, right actions, and the right livelihood, condensed in the practice of morality, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentrations, uh, contained into the practice of the right, the training of concentrations. So that by following on the very basic level, by living our life according to 10 virtuous actions and refraining from 10 non-virtuous actions. So that means no killing, no stealing, no sexual misconduct, which brings much more harm, pain, something to others, which are part of right action. So trying to refrain from taking the life of others. Just as we don't want our life to be taken, just as we cherish our life, everyone cherishes their life so much. Some of them are able to speak for themselves. Some of them, like animals, they cannot speak for themselves, but they cherish their life just as we cherish our life. So not taking the life of others, instead trying to engage in the help to save the life, save others' life, trying to help to have helping them to have more longer lifespan, helping them to have more healthy life, so forth. Not stealing, not taking someone which doesn't belong to you, is not given to you. Just as we don't want to give others to steal our things, even thinking maybe something which is not so important, but we don't like them to someone taking away without asking or without permission or without saying with if we do it hurts us. So therefore not stealing which harms others. Instead of stealing, we try to help the practice of generosity, the practice of helping them, whatever their needs are, whatever capacity, ability we have to give, to share. Sexual misconduct. We get very upset when our partners are unfaithful. Same way we don't want to destroy someone's relationship, someone's life, family's life, when they have their own family, we don't want to get in that kind of such a such a relationship because it will destroy their family and they will be not painful. So trying to refrain from such act and trying to help people to, if they have some problems in relationship, trying to help them to have more better relationship, reconcile or to have whatever that we can help the family to have better relationship and so forth. And then uh, through speech, so that is more physical actions. Through speech, um, refrain from lying, using divisive speeches, harsh speeches, meaningless idle gossips, so forth. Again, that is the right speech. Just as same thing, they say if someone tells you lie, you get very upset, angry. It, it makes you lose your trust in that person anymore. Same way. And of course, when someone uses divisive speech to divide within your friends, within your families, again, it hurts you. So we don't want to use any divisive speech which hurts others. Just as we get hurt by someone using a very unkind, harsh speech, harsh word. We don't want to use such unskillful, unhealthy, um, harsh, painful speeches. It hurts others. Meaningless idle gossip for you waste your time so much in a, without any meaning in that. Uh, so much time, but you don't want to engage in so that uh, you can utilize that time for something more positive, more healthy. So instead, lying, we try to be truthful, honest, as much. Instead of divisive, we try to use a speech when someone is divided to bring together. To bring together when they have misunderstanding, whatever that is, helping them to bring together. Instead of harsh speech, we try to use more gentle, more kind speech. Instead of idle or meaningless gossip, we try to make the conversation discussion something helpful, something meaningful, something beneficial for oneself and others. So that is uh, the right speech. And of course, the right livelihood is whatever profession, trade, job that we do, uh, try to do honestly, try to live in moral, ethical way, less, not cheating, um, lying, and so forth. Mm? Mm. Try to live our life as much as possible according to yeah, in that way. Mm? And then covetousness, um, ill will feeling, wrong views. Again, when we allow ourselves to do covetousness, we are encouraging ourselves to be more attachment, more obsessive, more clinging, and more, which is not again healthy, helpful, which only bring more pain and suffering. So instead of doing that, we try to refrain as much as possible and try to train ourselves um, to be less attached to anything. And even with feelings, which encourage, again, anger, hatred, and those negative emotions, to try to refrain them as much as possible, physically, verbally, mentally, and in this case, mostly on mental level. And we try to do that by encouraging ourselves to be more patient, more tolerant, more loving, more kindness. And then wrong views, um, such as rejections, no cause and effect, without really proof, evidence that it does not exist, and so forth. Trying to refrain from having such a uh, thought, because that can be obstacle for our growth to understand situations, existence, reality better, and we keep our mind more open by cultivating the right wisdom and the right state of mind and openness. And so that is the practice of morality. On the basis of that morality, on the basis of that morality, um, that's how we try to live our life on such a foundation. And then we try to um, develop concentration, um, samadhi, um, so that we can, whenever we direct our mind, we are able to direct towards that object without any distractions, so that whatever we do, that we become very much effective, much more stronger, uh, without all these. So therefore, and in order to develop that kind of state of mind, mental stability, of course, we need a lot of effort. Without effort, in general, without effort, your hard work, it's hard to make any progress in anything, to have any success. And definitely in our spiritual path, especially definitely when we're working our mind, uh, definitely we need um, discipline and perseverance or effort. Mm. And not only we need effort and perseverance, we need strong mindfulness and introspections. So through the mindfulness introspection, then we can develop that concentration. And by using the concentration, with that concentrations, we use that as a tool to develop the right correct understanding of the reality. So we try to develop the wisdom, understanding the reality correctly, driven by the right intentions to develop that wisdom in order to overcome those affecting emotions and those unwholesome thoughts and actions, and to to engage in wholesome actions and develop those wholesome thoughts and so forth. And by developing that wisdom, understanding the correct or right of the reality, then with that wisdom, we act, we use that wisdom to diminish and overcome the ignorance of all the delusions. And so that way, then we can overcome the delusions and do karma actions, and thereby overcome from samsaric state, and thereby to be able to achieve cessation and the nirvana, total freedom, total liberation from the samsaric state, from the samsaric rebirth, as well as from the delusions and karma, the cause of the samsara. So with that, I think I kind of stop here. So if we can do that, through that, then we can definitely develop more reliable peace, happiness, joy, more reliable, more lasting, more true peace, happiness, joy. And so that is the way to find more lasting, more reliable, more truth, more happiness, joy, is by working with our mind, not by relying on external objects, but relying on our own mind, our own thoughts, by cultivating those positive state of mind, such as that wisdom, so forth, and by overcoming those negative state of mind, such as ignorance and other illusions. That's when we begin to find more inner happiness which comes from within. And the happiness, the joy which comes from within, from inside, is much more reliable, much more stable, much more true happiness. So yeah. So I guess that is the today's subjects. So any questions? I can take one or two. If there is. Yes, please.
So I think you mentioned this last one point, the word covetousness. And I'm not sure I understand exactly what that entails. You elaborate on that?
Did I say that?
Yeah.
I don't know whether what other English word that can be covetousness similar, but no, I'm trying to remember the Tibetan word. Anyway, it is when you think, when you see things, objects, and things, prosperity, success, whatever, you wish for yourself. When you see something of someone's success, someone's prosperity, someone's happiness, someone's having some object, instead of feeling kind of happy for them, you feel that wanting for yourself. And so that is what it means. That copycat story is kind of attachment. So yeah, so instead you wish that you had, instead of them, to yourself, wanting that for yourself. In that way. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, please.
I sometimes think I have an old dog, and she's not well in her bones, so she won't live forever. But at some point, she will be so poorly that my vet suggests that I take action to kill her. And it's very difficult. And you are not supposed to kill. And I can't bear to do it. But she will, at some point, she will probably be in very much pain. So I have a lot of thoughts about it, because I don't kill anything. No mosquitoes, no nothing. And here she will at some point be in a lot of pain.
Yeah, I don't think I have an answer for that.
No.
I think it's I think it's a very difficult subject,
Yes.
especially more on personal level. Um, Even though definitely we don't encourage taking any life, definitely. But I can also understand some of people where they can't bear to see the sufferings of that. And it, so I guess individually they have to make their own decisions. They know the both consequences on both sides. And so it is kind of uh, the problem is that one of the things I see kind of danger, not at the moment, but in future, slowly, where come to where it comes, how much suffering is unbearable for her, you know. I mean, not only her, for like even human, anyone who is going to make that decisions.
Yeah.
And I'm worried that it comes to a time where people, because they cannot, let's say I cannot bear someone in my family something. Of course they are going to the pain, there's no doubt about that. And then people might have a different way of kind of interpreting how much is unbearable and how much. And I'm worried that people started to kind of give shots even much earlier, begin to reach that state. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Um, and I'm kind of worried about that part because a lot of times we kind of become more looser and looser.
I understand.
Like even in the United States, I think there are many other places where they are now law where if the patient can ask for their like injections, because it's, so it is being discussed, and it is of course it has to be discussed, and it's not easy whichever way, but it's kind of wearing in a sense like later someone might not, because he or she is so, instead maybe he or she can actually overcome it if they have given enough kind of that, but they feel that they cannot overcome that, and they just wish for that to have that kind of uh, that for themselves or for someone else. So that is one of the things that kind of little bit kind of where it can live in futures. Uh, but I think at present, I think yeah, it is a lot of things, a lot of hard choices that we have to make in our life. So this will be one of the again not one of the very hard choices that you have to make yourself. Um, unfortunately, I think I don't have the
No, I don't.
yeah
I know.
the right answer
I know.
to that. Yeah. If there's question, I can take one. Otherwise, we will. Okay. So then we do the dedications. Okay. So due to all the positive karma virtues that we have created in the past, which we would create, we might be planning to do that and create them now. With the Dharma, the message of love, compassion, non-violence, spread all throughout the direct and world and being pigmented and being. And may who carry those messages through not only teaching, through their examples, but if it's something that I'm not putting how much work into it, all the others will put it in, then they have a long, good life. And their actions, deep wishes be fulfilled. May all the spiritual center, Dhamma center, especially here, center here, may it grow and expand, grow, and be convinced and convinced. May all the teachers, understanders, may all the staff, followers of past, present, futures, all the sponsors and factors, all the members who part of different programs, and their family. And all sentient beings, may they have long, healthy life, prosperity, successful, happy and meaningful life. They all sentient beings who are not feeling well, may they resolve in their illness, sickness, as we have talked about, have long healthy life. May all sentient beings who are having a different obstacles in their life, may all the obstacles and cause of those obstacles be immediately satisfied. May they find life solutions, their problems, and all their wishes to be fulfilled according to the Dhamma. May each and every sentient being be able to actualize and fully develop love, compassion, and some understanding the reality. May they increase and not diminish, or not diminish and increase more. Due to that, may each and every sentient being be able to actualize their full potential for fully enlightened state as soon as possible, and be more beneficial, helpful to this every sentient being. Yawadi nyoto na mama sangye tu yone to ashi yama ne sam e sa na kwe sa ne chang cho ten cho ten bo chen ma che pa na che cho chen Ewa nyamba me baya, kongre kongdo dewa, ari rave koe shingam ye, yendan dewa manu koe, Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Krishna, may I just say
Yes, please.
a short comment? As most of you probably know, the center here depends entirely on the volunteers who help organize the events here and the daily operations, and also the donations that visitors of the center and members of the center are kind enough to give. So we really appreciate whatever donations we feel like we can give to the center. And also, you're all very welcome to also take part in the retreat that Geshe is offering over the weekend. You can participate in the entire retreat, or you can participate in just tomorrow evening or Saturday or Sunday. I think it's not too many. Sorry, I don't remember the prices. But,
When you throw the practice good after.
yes. That's all. Thank you.
And yeah, I think probably you know the subjects. It's going to be the subject is going to be what you call numbering, which is the stages of the chart. And so it is kind of roadmap, kind of the roadmap from the very beginning stage to your final spiritual goal, destinations of how to reach fully enlightened state or fully awakened state, stage by stage. So that is that will be kind of overview of that. Yeah.
So basically, everything you need to know in order to become that's all this weekend.
And yeah, or in order to even maybe you don't want to be enlightened, still there will be a lot of tools, I guess, means where people can apply, implement in their life to make their life more simplified, more kind of less, reduce the less pain, especially the pain created by our own mind. Yeah.
Oh, the prices. Thank you. Yeah, for those of you who are interested, so the price for the entire weekend is 750. And the reduced price for unemployed students, retirees is 650. 1 day only is 375. And the reduced price for 1 day only is 200.
Just to note on that, so we don't put the dharma that we charge for. It's just the portion cost included in running the center and inviting teachers and so forth. So just money I use to cover that. And if you cannot afford that, you come and talk to us, and we may find out something. So we can work on with subject to.
Okay. Good night. Good evening. Thank you.